And now we must analyze and interpret the story All Summer in a Day by Ray Bradbury. And as usual, let us work out the strategy for understanding, analysis, and interpretation. Get engaged with the text and apply various strategies. Consider the historical and cultural context. Identify the problem the author is trying to resolve. Identify the concepts the author uses or develops. Identify the author's attitude. Identify deeper implications insightfully from the text. Focus on literary and language means. And now about the author, about Ray Bradbury. Ray Bradbury is an American novelist, short story writer, essayist, playwright, screenwriter, and poet. Although his formal education ended in high school, he became a student of life, selling newspapers on Los Angeles street corners from 1938 to 1942, spending his nights in the public library and his days at the typewriter. His reputation as a writer was established with the publication of the Martian Chronicles in 1950, which describes the first attempts of Earth people to conquer and colonize Mars, and the unintended consequences. Next came The Illustrated Man, and then, in 1953, Fahrenheit 451, which many consider to be Bradbury's masterpiece. In all, Bradbury has published more than 30 books, close to 600 short stories, and numerous poems, essays, and plays. Married since 1947, Mr. Bradbury and his wife, Maggie, lived in Los Angeles with their numerous cats. Together, they raised 4 daughters and had 8 grandchildren. On the occasion of his 80th birthday in August 2000, Bradbury said, "The great fun in my life has been getting up every morning and rushing to the typewriter because some new idea has hit me. The feeling I have every day is very much the same as it was when I was 12. In any event, here I am, 80 years old, feeling no different, full of a great sense of joy, and glad for the long life that has been allowed me. I have good plans for the next 10 or 20 years, and I hope you'll come along." Fall in love with one idea after another, and immerse yourself in these loves. Follow your heart wherever it leads. Don't ever let anyone talk you out of your dreams. Ray Bradbury has lived his whole life by these principles. Have you fallen in love with something? If not, it's time to search. Go to the library, take the books off the shelf, and fall in love. Find something so wonderful you never want to quit. I don't want you to be at peace. I want you to be excited. Libraries, said Bradbury, have immediacy, a sensory experience that can't be matched using a home computer to surf the internet. And now about the story itself, about All Summer in a Day. In the story All Summer in a Day, Bradbury combines both imaginary and realistic elements. It's a science fiction short story which deals with a group of 9-year-old schoolchildren living on the planet Venus that was colonized by rocket men and women who had come to a reigning world to set up civilization and live out their lives at an unspecified time in the future. It is constantly raining on the planet. Therefore, seeing the sun is a very rare event which occurs only every 7 years for just 1 hour. Genre identification, science fiction. Science fiction is a broad genre of fiction that often involves speculations based on current or future science or technology. It encompasses creative works incorporating imaginative elements not found in contemporary reality. This includes fantasy, horror, and related genres. Science fiction differs from fantasy in that, within the context of the story, its imaginary elements are largely possible within scientifically established or scientifically postulated laws of nature, though some elements in a story might still be pure imaginative speculation. Exploring the consequences of such differences is a traditional purpose of science fiction, making it a literature of ideas. Science fiction is largely based on writing entertainingly and rationally about alternate possibilities in settings that are contrary to known reality. These may include a setting in the future in alternative timelines, a setting in outer space, on other worlds, or involving aliens, stories that involve technology or scientific principles that contradict known laws of nature, time travel, or new technology. The literary genre of science fiction is diverse and its origin is an open question. Some offer works like the Sumerian epic of Gilgamesh as a primal text of science fiction. Others argue that science fiction began in the late Middle Ages, or that science fiction became possible only with the scientific revolution, notably discoveries by Galileo and Newton in astronomy, physics, and mathematics. Some place the origin with the Gothic novel, particularly Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Science fiction developed and boomed in the 20th century as a deep penetration of science and inventions into society created an interest in literature that explored technology's influence on people and society. Today, science fiction has significant influence on world culture and thought. Critics have always argued over whether or not to call Bradbury's work science fiction. He is often described as a science fiction writer, though Bradbury does not box himself into a particular narrative categorization. Indeed, irrespective of the fact that some of Bradbury's best-known works are in the science fiction genre, the bulk of his work probably does not fit easily into the science fiction category. First of all, I don't write science fiction. I've only done one science fiction book, and that's Fahrenheit 451, based on reality. Science fiction is a depiction of the real fantasy, of the real. Fantasy is a depiction of the unreal, says the writer. Now, identify which aspects of the story set it apart as science fiction. Identify which literary aspects and facets of the story make it science fiction and which could be part of a regular short story. Comprehension check. Why are all the children excited? What are they waiting for? When did the sun last shine? What is the weather like on Venus? How long has it been that way? In what way is Margot's experience of the sun different from the experience of all the other children on Venus? What relationship do Margot and her classmates have? What do the children do to Margot just before the rain stops? What do the children do during the 2 hours that they are outdoors? Can you guess what happens to Margot at the end of the story? What point is made about Margot when the story says that the rain had washed the blue from her eyes and the red from her mouth and the yellow from her hair? How do the children feel when they realize what they did to Margot?